Yeah, so if you're coming to the Waldsiedlung Wandlitz, you definitely want to take the bus.
Yeah.
There's no walking from the Bernau train station.
No. The gate's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's the original gate.
Oh, you've seen this gate before?
Oh yeah. That's a serious gate.
Yeah. I mean, if you were a kid, it would be fun to just kind of crawl through it, but...
So they would have had, you know, some guard standing here, making sure you are who you are. So these are the limos that they would just drive at top speed to get from Berlin to Wandlitz in a reasonable period of time.
Which for someone like James means nothing, except this one in the back is a Mercedes, but this one's a Volvo.
Yeah, they used Volvo limos. That's generally what they used.
Oh, really?
I think this is probably a Lada or something.
It's a Mercedes.
Huh.
I think. I mean, it's... Maybe you're right. Yeah, the headlights don't look Mercedes, but... yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty typical of what they would use as the Volvos. Sweden, of course, was kind of playing middle ground there, and then Es lebe der Marxismus Leninismus. Marxism lives. So this is why they called it the Waldsiedlung, because it's kind of like you're in the forest, and there's a little hut back there. You can hear the chipmunks.
That's a chipmunk?
Yeah.
Chipmunks go...
Oh, cool. So it was Egon Krenz's house. Tell me about him.
Well, Egon Krenz was actually... He became unemployed. He was a research scientist. And him and a couple of his friends, Dr. Venkman and Dr. Stantz, became unemployed. They... You bastard. Yeah, they founded a paranormal investigation sort of company.
He does look like that guy. What is his name?
Egon Spengler.
Egon.
The only other Egon that I know who isn't a like a Czech surrealist painter.
And he does look like him. And he was, I know he was born in what is now Poland. And he was, people used to make fun of his teeth, right? Because he had these really, yeah. And so he was the last leader of the GDR after Honecker was basically, they basically went to Honecker and they said, we've all decided that you're done. So then this was the guy, and he had the blessing of Gorbachev. This is where Egon Krenz lived, and he could not hold it together, so he was I think it was just for a month or so that he was the guy in charge of the GDR, and he tried to sort of release the pressure valve a little bit, but not fully, right? So how can we kind of still keep the country together, but obviously we have to let some of the water out of this dam kind of thing, so kind of a Gorbachev type thing. Did not work out, much like Gorbachev. I wonder what's Gorby doing today? What is he thinking right now about everything, you know?
Let me out of this box, trapped under the earth.
No, Gorbachev's not dead yet.
What?
He's still around.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes, he is.
Absolutely not.
From out here, I mean, it definitely looks like a privileged, you know, place to live, given how much room you'd have and everything in there, but...
Oh yeah, because what was it, 79 square meters? Which in square feet is like... Or do you measure things in square feet in America, or do you measure them in like the hands of the former king, or...
No, square feet.
Washington penises or something? There's some really, really logical system they use in the U.S.
Yeah, well...
You measure it in Abraham Lincoln's hats. So how many Abraham Lincoln hats would fit inside of that building? Because I think 79 square meters was like the size that everyone's apartment was, basically, or like...
At least you were guaranteed that much?
Something like that, yeah. This looks like it's going to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like almost 8 times that, probably.
Yeah.
7, 8 times more.
And there's a little extension on the end there.
Plus a finished basement, maybe. Or at least a basement. So yeah, for one family, this would be like palatial, for sure.
Yeah.
So it basically says Erich Honecker's wife had crazy purple hair and was a founding member of the Sex Pistols. Although she doesn't appear on the album, she wrote the lyrics to God Save the Queen. However, she wrote them in German. They needed to be translated back into English, and they just decided it was too much pressure for Sid Vicious because he was on heroin. So Erich Honecker lived from 1960 with his wife Margot. Margot was also politically active. She was from 1963 the
She was like the education minister.
Yep, she
Yeah.
was.
And not well liked by the public.
He was forced, on the 18th of October in 89 to resign, and he decided to stay here. However, starting in December of that year, he had to stay here because he was under house arrest.
Yeah, and then so after he was under house arrest here, he went to Moscow.
Oh,
So he basically fled the country.
I was
went-
wondering what happened to him.
Yeah, he went to Moscow. I think Yeltsin gave him some place to stay for a while, and then after that, Russia kicked him out. Imagine you've been kicked out not only of Germany but of Russia, and so now he
When
goes.
they kicked him out, did they say, "Ho ho 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 ho, hey, Moscow, Moscow"?
They politely asked him to leave.
Oh.
And so then his next stop was Chile. Well, he had cancer already. Even before he was pushed out of power, he had cancer. They may not have really known that. But so he died in Chile, but his wife, Margot, went on for quite a while. She lived there forever. And you can see there's a YouTube video of her talking. I think it was at the event of his funeral, where she starts talking about socialism and how, I mean, this is a speech that you would think was from 1980 or 1970. And it was way after the wall fell, and she was talking about how strongly, she still believes in socialism, and it's pretty amazing. And this would have been Honecker's backyard. I mean, he would have lived here for many, many years, so this would have really been his place that he would have known, like the back of his hand kind of thing. You could see he had a nice veranda back here. And there's lots and lots of windows on the back of his house, but few and small windows on the front of his house. And Erich Honecker, the longtime leader of the GDR, would have stood out here on this deck, veranda. This one's got a sign on it.
Child Aftercare Clinic.
Right, but it's got the sign we care about. Ooh, it looks like it's Ulbricht. Oh, Lotte.
Lotte und Walter Ulbricht.
So it says 1971, the Politburo basically said, it's time for you to go. So, but it says then, es bis zu seinem Tod hier wohnen. So he was allowed to stay here even after he was finished, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that would have been really weird because you're living in this house, right? And all of your neighbors have basically conspired to retire you, and now you have to come out and get your mail and be like, ja, hallo. Ja. Wouldn't that be weird?
Very. Yeah, probably looks like a different place. Oh, that extension. Huh.
There was a separate thing over here too. So he would have lived here for a long time. These people knew these places like this was their home,
Mm-hmm.
And then they just one day would get kicked out, or I guess in Ulbricht's case, they just let him live here until he died, right? But his wife got kicked out. Oh, here it is. This was Erich Mielke's house. I have a whole video just on this guy right here. Wow. So of course.
Not really.
No?
No.
He was the head of the Stasi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like one of the most hated people after Margot Honecker probably you could find.
Oh, wow.
You can see though that this house has a nice backyard. This is Erich Mielke's backyard, and he was just looking out on these big pine trees and a nice open area here. Mielke's patio. And then for whatever reason, he had a separate detached building over here that the other houses don't seem to have. And I'm not going to stick the camera in any of these windows because people do actually live here. You can see Mielke had a basement as well.
So, whose home is this? A smaller home.
Das ist das Haus von Konrad Naumann.
Huh.
Never heard of him. Here you got, look, Horst Zindermann. And he's one of my favorites. This is the guy, if he had been in Honecker's place, everything would have been different. He's a very outgoing, he kind of disarms you. Whereas Honecker, you know, it's not so likable. And then that is, I think, Willi Stoff.
He saw himself as the crown prince of Honecker. So Honecker was the king and he was the crown prince.
And this is what it looks like down here. So I think we've gone along all of these, haven't we?
Yep. And people thought he was a bit of a dick, so...
It says that people thought he was a bit of a dick?
Well, it says that people increasingly criticized his nomination and his Lebenswandel. So the course of his life. The course of his life and his career were widely criticized, or became more and more widely criticized.
So this is a good example then of a guy who would have lived in a very privileged place. He would have socialized with all these people around here, but in about 1985 he kind of fell in disfavor, and they would have come to him and said, basically, Konrad, you're not in line with where we're at anymore, and we need you basically to leave.
Yeah.
Somebody else is coming in and taking your place who's more cooperative. Their thinking is more up to date. And think of how you would feel if that happened to you. You'd feel like you'd just been dropped off in the ditch and they just drive away.
Yeah.
And that was his house.